Yo, Joe. Talking comics, here's your host. It's A Real American Brian.
Hello, YouTube. It's A Real American Brian, and I have 3 friends, believe it or not, and they all joined me here. Yes, so I have Brian, Johnny, who's been on the channel a couple times already, and Mike, making his first appearance on A Real American Brian's YouTube channel. And we're going to go through the 10 best G.I. Joe names. So we've conducted a survey and put this list together very scientifically. And we're basing this list specifically on the names. So we've tried to disconnect ourselves from the character and just judge them by their name and how great it is. So we're going to be doing the 10 best, and in the future, we will have a video of the 10 worst. But for today, let's stick to the good stuff. So let's get right into it. We have 3 honorable mentions before we get started. And the first one is going to be Maverick. So Maverick was a contribution from Mike. So Mike, you like the name Maverick?
I'll be honest with you. As you can tell from my hair, I missed the original G.I. Joe show. So I was basing these on what real soldiers would be. And Maverick is just a simple, basic name. And again, Top Gun doesn't hurt. So,
right.
And this is a later figure. So did it come out after Top Gun?
I believe it may have. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I should have like reference and information pulled up, but I don't.
I thought you knew all this stuff, being a Real American Brian. So
you would think there are some obscure Joes on our list, so I don't know all these by any means. But Maverick's primary specialty is a pilot, so he's a pilot named Maverick. Seems like it would be very Top Gun related.
Does his like background include Scientology as well, or no?
I don't have his full file card, but it might.
No, not at that pay grade. He could not.
Okay. No. Well, it's, to be fair, Biron, it's a different grade. It's different levels.
Right.
In that. So
yeah. He's not clear, is what I'm saying.
He's not all. He's like he wants to be level 33, but he's not.
Indeed. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on him because he was only an honorable mention. He didn't make the list. But the next honorable mention is a fun one. We have Cutter. Cutter made the list, and he was put on the list by Brian. So Brian, explain yourself.
There's 3 reasons. For my birthday, I got the Whale, which is the hovercraft that Cutter pilots. 2, Skip A. Stone is an awesome name for a Coast Guard guy.
It's awesome or dumb? I misheard.
When you're at my age, it goes from dumb to awesome. It's the dad.
So are you grading it your like 11-year-old brain or your 50
my
or
brain
whatever you are now?
Since I'm 11.
Okay. Because Skip A. Stone, it's not great now.
But I just imagine, I don't know who named it, let's pretend it's Larry Hama, that he was walking around the office going, "Skip a stone, you get it?" to everyone in the office. And like, yes, we get it.
Did Cutter come with the Whale or no?
Yes, he did.
Because I had the Whale, but I don't remember having Cutter. So I must have.
I'm pretty sure Brian we'll check and get back on that. I'm almost 100% sure.
Brian claims to not be a toy expert, only a comic expert.
The Whale was a large enough vehicle that it would come with a figure.
Not only am I not great with the toys, but this toy was before I was playing with G.I. Joe. So
it was awesome. It had the depth charge thing that you could dump the barrels. It had the ejectable ski sled.
It was actually really good. I think I lost a bunch of pieces from it, though, if I remember correctly.
It would float, but it also had wheels, so you could push it out on the ground.
Did it float, though, or no?
Yes. It would float on water. Yep.
Okay.
even with the wheels?
Yep. Because it just had wheels in these
yeah, and then they
had
and
the rest was a big hollow plastic shell.
Did you ever bring it in the bathtub with you?
I did.
Did you also poop in the same bathtub?
Well, the depth charges took care of that.
Yeah.
And the third reason is I like goth girls, so Cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
here's a fun fact. I worked with a guy in radio who went by the name Cutter on the air.
Nice. So I have 3 reasons. He was high on my list. So
he first went by Flatbed, then changed his name to Cutter. I don't know if that was an upgrade or not, but
nice.
Yeah, Brian had him as number 5 on his top 10 list, but
Wow.
he didn't quite make the overall top 10. He was just
I had
number-
Maverick as 4, so
Yeah. All right, so we ready for the next one?
sure.
I don't think I am now too. Barbecue only made an honorable mention. I mean, he's a fireman named Barbecue. I don't know if it gets any better than that, but Johnny added him to our list.
Well, he's got a nickname Barbecue, which is great. I'm all for cool nicknames, but not like wacky real names. He's going to teach the kids safety. He's going to come in handy with any flame related missions as well. Never really broke character. So, yeah, Barbecue. He's a great addition to any type of mission or inviting you to your barbecue.
He was also the primary character in the great multi-part episode with the Viper, if you remember correctly. That was when he got a crank phone call at the firehouse. And it was all this cryptic messages. I am the Viper, first floor first. And they thought that was a clue. So it made him find out where the Crimson Guard commanders were, the top floor of the tallest building on the planet. And that proceeded to happen 3 more times. And it turns out it was just a Mexican window washer going over his rates and his process.
Wait, someone washes Mexican windows?
He would wash non-Mexican windows too, but he happened to be Mexican.
Oh, okay.
Well, at least they portrayed him in a very stereotypical Mexican way in the cartoon.
The window washer made his comic book appearance for the first time on the cover of issue 300.
Oh,
Really?
Is
You
that
should
like a
put-
Where's Waldo? Where's the Viper?
put your first appearance thing because you talked about it now. When I bought the barbecue figure from Target, the guy behind the counter said, "Ha, pork chop sandwiches." And I'm like, well, that was
Blowtorch. Yeah.
So I
Close.
wonder if barbecue. Yeah, I wonder if barbecue gets mistaken for blowtorch a lot.
Because you would think Blowtorch sets fires. He doesn't protect children from them.
Yeah, but they
Also,
both
the Geneva
dabble in.
Convention prohibits the use of flamethrowers against personnel, so Blowtorch is a worker.
They both dabble in pork, though.
Yeah.
We've all dabbled in pork.
Indeed. So those are our honorable mentions for best names. Let's get into the list. So first up at number 10 is Muskrat. Mike added this wonderful Joe to our list. So Mike, you like Muskrat?
I like the name, yeah. It seems like it gives a lot of character right off the bat.
And now that you see the Joe here on the screen, does it fit the name?
As most people have probably figured out, if you haven't yet, I don't know anything about any of the Joes. So I'm just coming in as the person who knows nothing about the Joes, but I like the name. It sounds like something that soldiers would have. I took this list pretty seriously, and I was like, cute names are weren't dumb, but things that just made sense that soldiers would say.
His secondary skill is social services.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yes.
Like, I'm Muskrat. I'm here to talk to you about your parents. And it's like, that's weird.
Do they touch you in an inappropriate way?
Yes. Well,
Muskrat's
we
gonna
took it
ask
over
you
Vienna, so
Yeah, we've got some uncomfortable questions. Let's bring in Muskrat to ask them.
that's also the home city of Amos Moses. So that's a obscure reference.
Thibodeau? Is it Thibodeau?
Yeah.
Fibs.
Indeed, but there he is, Muskrat at number 10 on the best names list. So now we're going ahead to number 9. Number 9 was one of my favorite figures as a child. Beachhead. Beachhead was added to the list by Johnny.
Yeah, so I like Beachhead for many reasons. Obviously, name-wise, it fits the military theme, so you have that right there. Wayne Sneeden sounds like a guy you don't want to mess with. Maybe somebody messed with him when he was young, like, hey, Sneeden, later on, joined the military, and now he's the bully. So I kind of like the idea. Beachhead's a great nickname. Wayne Sneeden it's got some character in that name as well.
Is that also how he got his promotion? By doing Beachhead to a superior officer?
That wasn't canon. That was
I don't think so.
no, that was in the Devil's Due version. That was not canon. So yeah,
I like the episode of the cartoon where Beachhead is like getting all uppity, and then I think Falcon says, You're below me in rank. Like they never really discuss rank except to put down Beachhead to remind him he's a lower rank than Duke. Because he's like fourth in command, I think.
To be fair though, they talk about who is the best person for the job,
right,
then becomes the commanding officer.
Mm-hmm.
So, but as a goof, I could see, Falcon being an asshole about that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I thought cool name, cool nickname, and cool real name. So and
great figure.
Became a great figure. Became a kind of an underground iconic character. Kind of like how like Boba Fett became more popular later on. After it was almost like I feel Beachhead wasn't that popular when I was a kid, but then later on, I don't know what it was, but and then when the classified figure came out, it became like a highly sought after.
Like when Boba Fett became popular, like sorry, I'm a Zuckus man.
Actually, I was more of a Neem noob man because I could put tortillas in my face and be in for Halloween. Neem noob.
Well, number 8 was added to the list by Brian. Chuckles.
I didn't. It wasn't for the name. I like how the figure just looks like a guy in a Hawaiian shirt.
Wait, it wasn't for the name. That was the whole point of this list.
Right. I ignored that rule, and
okay,
he's just one of my favorite Joes. Period. Because he just looks like a guy in a Hawaiian shirt, but in the comic and the cartoon, he's this incredibly huge buff guy. Yet his specialty is undercover work. But he sticks out like a sore thumb.
Was there ever a reason he was called Chuckles? Like,
did they get into that in the comic? They didn't. I remember because he was introduced along with Tunnel Rat, Jinx, and one other guy, and they brought in Sergeant Slaughter to whip him into shape.
Yeah, Chuckles was introduced in the comic in the Todd McFarlane issue. Actually,
was he all big and ripped, or is that more of a recent thing?
I think it's probably more of a recent thing.
Was he created by Todd McFarlane?
No, he's pre that.
None of the Joes, all the Joes were Hasbro creations. So it was kind of like figure or design first, and then.
Yeah, Beachhead's or Chuckles has been around for a long time. Not like Lady J or Snake Eyes, but probably like third.
I don't remember Chuckles action figure at all from my childhood. So
he had a little pistol and it had a shoulder holster that was cool.
I would have remembered a Hawaiian shirt influence in my life. At the time, it was only Steve Dahl's my only Hawaiian shirt influence. So
mine was Magnum PI.
Oh, that's good too. Yeah.
Yeah, and Chuckles, I don't know. Chuckles is cool. I always like Chuckles because he was like the undercover guy, but in the comic anyway, as soon as you saw someone with a Hawaiian shirt, like, oh, it's gonna be Chuckles.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's one comic where I don't know if it is that issue or not, but his back is to you and he's like sitting. I was like, oh, Chuckles is sitting over there, and then there's the reveal. Like, oh, I already knew. Like,
if you always wear a Hawaiian shirt, are you really undercover though?
Right. That's what.
If I was doing the comic,
that's what makes you chuckle.
Yeah. If I was doing the comic, I would always have him undercover with the same, but he would have like a ridiculous mustache on or a monocle, but he would still have everything else the same.
Yeah. Only his head's undercover.
Right.
So this portion of the list was all brought to us by Brian. He contributed the next one as well. Number 7 is Mainframe.
Mainframe, if he was just Mainframe the whole time, he probably wouldn't have been as high on my list. But when they did that re-release and called him Data Frame, it offended me so much that I felt the need to defend Mainframe. Because I've been working in IT not long enough to actually have worked on mainframes. So that's why the name's cool. I wonder if is he still canon as Mainframe? Was Data Frame just a one-off, I'm wondering?
Yeah, all the name changes during that time they've kind of ignored. Like
okay, good.
He's still Mainframe.
But yeah, I like it.
Mainframe as a character. I mean, no, we're doing all names, but later on, I expected him to be more just irritable, like an IT guy would at his age.
Like this SNL IT guy where you just go move. Like
Yeah. Well, think about it. If
Charlotte
he
would have trouble with Excel and he would have to show her how
right,
to do a
if
pivot table.
Mainframe learned COBOL in '81, he's not happy about it now.
Mm-hmm. And I'd like to see a new Mainframe where he's kind of an overweight guy with suspenders and a gray beard.
Yeah, maybe missing an arm or leg too.
Yeah, from the beast.
Mainframe wasn't really a very cool figure to begin with, so you might as well do something with him.
I like that he came with a portable computer.
He didn't come with a giant disc.
No, it looked like a K Pro, if people are familiar with that, the computer he came with, which is portable, meaning you could lug it around. You still need a power source. It didn't have a battery.
I had a Commodore SX, which was a portable computer. Looked like a suitcase.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had one of those too.
It did. The screen was this big.
Yeah, they called them luggables, not portables.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, that's what he, and even DataFrame, the updated one, still used the same giant luggable computer. It was funny.
I don't remember the Mainframe action figure either. Was he old or no?
He came out with
Chuckles era, I would say.
I think he was after that. The DataFrame. Yeah.
I'm talking Mainframe before.
Yeah,
Mainframe.
I don't remember that one. I
had it.
Figure.
But DataFrame was the exact same figure, just with a different name.
All right, so that brings us up to number 6, and this one was from Mike. Mike gave us Whiteout.
I like Michael Nesmith is my favorite monkey, and his mother created Whiteout. So,
to be fair, his mother created liquid paper.
Liquid paper, true.
Just like she
not as cool of a name though.
Right. She invented facial tissue, not Kleenex.
Right. Adhesive bandage.
And Whiteout was Whiteout versus Snow Job. What's the difference?
Snow Mike, Job is on a different list of mine. So
yeah. Okay. And Mike thought
Whiteout,
it was a sex joke, but actually I meant the
one came with skis, one came with snowshoes, right? Or was it the Cobra guy that came with snowshoes?
I don't remember Whiteout. I remember Snow Job and who's the there was one other snow guy. I don't remember Whiteout though.
Did Whiteout come with a vehicle?
He might have because Snow Job is the older one, right?
So there's Snow Job, and what's the other snow guy? There was 2 snow guys, one with an orange beard and one without.
I forgot what's the main snow guy, but I always liked that no matter what environment they would in, they would still either be in the jungle and he'd be wearing a snowsuit.
No matter what,
that's the Cobra in the jungle, and he'd have
Ace was always in his thing, even though
So were a lot of these Joes like Aquaman? They would create a story where they could use Snow Job or use Barbecue.
Yeah, but sometimes they would just throw him in stuff just as an extra guy.
Okay.
G.I. Joe didn't really have they had a guy named Grunt, but they didn't just have, everyone was a specialist.
So I think there was a snow guy called Cold Front.
Whiteout came in a 2-pack with Big Ben.
Okay.
So the way it works, Mike, is Hasbro comes up with a sketch of a figure they're going to make, and then they hand that sketch to Larry, and Larry would come up with a list of names, and they would pick one of those names, and then he would write the file card too on what their specialty was and everything, all based on the sketch. Then they would make the toy, and then Larry would be told to put that figure or that character into the comic during this period of time. So then he would write him into the story.
All right.
The one I was thinking of was Frostbite.
All right. Which one came with what?
Frostbite came with this thing.
Is that Snowcat?
Yeah.
Well, that was a repaint of a previous vehicle, wasn't it?
Snowcat Frostbite came with the Snowcat. And there's also Iceberg as well. No one remembers this guy. We had Iceberg up. So there's like 4 different snow guys. And Cobra had Snow Serpent.
Yep. He was the one that came with
3 good snow guys and 1 bad snow guy.
The bad snow guy was a troop, though. They had multiples.
That good point, yeah.
All right, so now we're into the top 5. In 5th place, Johnny gave us a good one. The fridge.
Yeah, so he's named after an appliance, guys, and that's pretty fantastic. He also has an uncanny resemblance to it's Willem, I think, Perry. He was a member of the Chicago Bears. He did the Super Bowl shuffle. You're looking at the fridge. I'm the rookie, maybe large, no dumb cookie. And he got in G.I. Joe. So, not the only football player, no, sorry, not the only wrestler, because he was a wrestler at WrestleMania 2, to be in G.I. Joe. Do you know the other one? Anyone?
Sergeant Slaughter.
There's one more. Piper had a G.I. Joe figure as well.
Really?
Yeah, the toy store near me has one. It's for $400 if anyone's looking for one.
Rocky Balboa in Rocky 3 fought Hulk Hogan, and he has a G.I. Joe.
But he didn't have a G.I. He was supposed to have a G.I. Joe,
Oh,
which corresponds to number 5 on this list. The fridge took Rocky Balboa's spot.
did Rocky Balboa have a mace that was a football?
No, but he
No.
did have Thunder Lips.
He came with all kinds of cool boxing gear, or was going to come with all kinds of cool boxing gear, and Big Boa was going to be his rival. The reason Rocky never came out is because Sly signed a deal for Rambo figures with another company, and his likeness could only be with one company, so they couldn't do the Rocky Balboa G.I. Joe.
I
Quick
believe it was
side note on
Purdue.
those Rambo figures. There was a store on Gary called McDade's. Do you guys remember that? Maybe not. And it was like a department store. My mom was going to buy me the Rocky figure because as a kid, who wouldn't want a figure from an R-rated movie? And had the rocket launcher and everything. Had it in the cart. I started playing with this basketball. I lost control. The basketball hit the door that sounded the alarm, and I got yelled at. I didn't get the figure that night.
Those were 6-inch figures, I believe.
They were big. They were big boys. Yeah. There was only a Rambo and I believe a Colonel Troutman available at the time. But yeah, the fridge as a name. So football player turned G.I. Joe. He already had a Joe nickname. That's the real reason he made the list. He was already, as opposed to let's introduce you to a G.I. Joe character based on their code name. He already had a code name. So
It was half written.
What was his weapon again? Was it the football?
It was like
thing?
a flail with a football on it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Makes sense.
I like that his specialty is physical fitness, but he was kind of, I mean, he was fit, but he was kind of a big guy.
Well, to be fair, Baron, just like you liking things when you were 11, things do change over time.
And
in 1986, he was huge in 86, size-wise. Today, he'd be a small lineman.
Yeah, he would be an outside linebacker, an edge rusher.
Oh, good. Yeah, he'd be a slow linebacker, actually.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on to number 4. Number 4 had votes from 2 different people, Mike and Johnny. Number 4 is Frostbite.
A lot of snow guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Mike obviously has a snow fetish, so we know why he picked
Clearly.
that. Farley Seward as a name. I mean, your first name's Farley. That's pretty great. And having a nickname based off of a condition you don't want to have, that's kind of badass, It's like
a seal named Drowning.
Yeah.
Or crabs.
Crabs, or like we're gonna call this guy Scurvy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like when someone takes a name and fucking owns it. Mike, am I correct about the snow fetish?
I did notice that. Wasn't even paying attention, but I was like, Whiteout and Frostbite are on my list. So, yeah.
Secret fetish that you're not even aware of.
Well, yeah.
Is it like that time when Katie left the garage door open during a blizzard and the snow got in and you didn't know why you had an erection?
Yeah, exactly. It helped me shovel the snow. So,
You had a boner in the snow?
yeah,
Did you put it in the snow?
that's how you get rid of it. Yeah.
Like get rid of it? Like
If you suffer from propecia, is it priapism? Priapism. Propecia is the hair growing drug.
I think
Priapism.
it's Peyronie's.
Yeah.
I believe.
Pyrones is
Because you know what's cool
The
about
hook kick.
Pyrones in the snow? It's like a shovel.
Yep.
You know? You scoop it out.
Wow. Yep.
You're gonna have to put an age restriction on this one. Sorry about
Oh yeah.
I didn't say anything bad. I'm talking about medical stuff.
Science.
His name's Frostbite. Come on.
That does bring us into the top 3. And Brian brought us the next one. This was his number 1 overall. Dial tone.
That's your favorite name.
I used to be a PBX operator at the Schaumburg Marriott, so I have a strong affinity towards telecommunication terminology.
Did you wear a backpack when you worked there?
No, I wore a cardigan.
It's sort of like a backpack.
I like that I like his weird backpack. I always dug that, and the fact he had a beret. I suspect that was brought from home and is not part of his official uniform.
But you don't like statement hats.
But when it's a part of a uniform, it's fine. It's like I'm
But
not
if you
going to
brought
yell
it
at a
from
cowboy
home-
for wearing a cowboy hat.
You know,
So
I will say this.
Wild Bill is not cool, but the beret on dial tone is cool.
Yeah. Well, Wild Bill's cowboy hat's cool because it's part of his uniform.
Dial tone probably did bring the beret because there's too many berets out there in the Joe world right
You
now.
got Stalker.
You got Flint, Stalker, Beachhead, all wore berets. You know?
None of them were raspberry.
No.
Do you
that's
think
true.
he wore it because he wanted to hang out with those two guys? And they're like, nah, bro, you're the telecom guy.
He
Go to
called
the
them. He's
nerd.
like, "What is my name now? Busy Tone." Stupid.
Did you appreciate that he's from Oregon?
Well, there are parts of Oregon that I like. Anything that's not Portland.
So
Like
Eugene is okay.
Eugene, home of the Beavers.
Yep.
All right.
That's right on the border, isn't it? Sort of with California. I think I've been there. And he has a mustache. That's another qualifier.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So number 2 on the list was brought to us by Mike, and it was his number 1 overall. And this one only got votes from Mike, which is pretty shocking.
That's surprising.
Snake Eyes.
Too obvious?
I mean, it was pretty obvious. I will admit that, but I just like it. It's probably like if you said name a GI Joe, it's the first one that come to mind. So
I do like he's a GI Joe through and through, and probably the most loyal, and yet his name is Snake Eyes.
Was there ever like a Boxcars as well?
I don't.
he was
think
the
so.
hobo GI Joe.
Right.
That,
Oh yeah.
Is
Boxcar Jones, they called him.
Yeah.
Is there a Blood Bowl one called Tits when you roll Snake Eyes?
Titties. Extreme, cut that out. Whatever.
That's fine. So now we're up to number 1. What could number 1 be? 2 people voted for it. One person voted for their top 1, Johnny's top overall, but also voted by Brian onto the list. Keel Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once again, kind of like Frostbite, you know, when you can take something that is a negative and you basically own that name, you know. Keel Hall himself, Everett Colby.
Everett P. Colby sounds like a aristocratic name. Like he comes from money.
It kind of reminds me of like Ernest P. Worrell. What do you mean, Vern guy? A little bit.
Hey, Vern.
So Keel Hall, obviously, you know, he would not be keel hauled. He is very honorable. I liked it because I owned the figure, and the figure showed you were upper class because it came with the aircraft carrier.
It set you apart.
So, sort of. There's more. That figure was released in other places later, and at the very end of that run would be show up in Chuck E. Cheese's as a prize you could cash your tickets on.
Wow. The same
How many
figure?
tickets was it though?
Yeah. So initially, yes, it came with the flag, and that's the only way to get it. But it was released after that, as they just needed to get rid of these figures that they made.
Oh, that sucks to hear. I know that. That also probably hurt the value of the figure now, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's still pretty hard to get.
Well, because
overnight.
like if they went to the effort to make the mold, they're not going to waste it. So
Yeah, I mean, even then, you think that maybe it was one run of figures where one of the mainline ones probably had multiple runs through. So it's still going to be one of the more rare figures.
and another good mustache.
Another good mustache and another statement hat.
This is
Also,
in an
wouldn't he
era
be one
when-
of the highest ranked? Is he technically an admiral?
Yeah, he's admiral. He's technically outside of Hawk.
Hawk. Yeah.
He's the highest official ranking. Yeah. You know, I liked it too because in an era when mustaches proved how manly you were, he also had that as well. So it was like he had the Tom Selleck thing going on. Also, he was an admiral. Also, he's got a badass fucking nickname, and because he will fuck you up.
Do you ever notice it almost? So I noticed on his secondary thing it was pilot, but it also seems, at least in the cartoon, everyone's able to fly jets.
Yes. Yeah, the cartoon was very convenient with.
And also the
whatever vehicles
cartoon,
around you.
everyone, regardless of what their special weapon was, fired the same like M1 Garand. They all fired the same gun.
Well, it makes it easy when you know if
When you're animating, yeah.
and if you're grabbing and no, in the storyline, if you're grabbing weapons, you know, you've got a bunch of standard issue guns right there. Just grab one. Let's go.
Mhm.
You have a specialty, but we're trained in everything.
Right.
That probably also shows you how well trained any Joe is. Even the lowest level Joe can still pilot something. Just, you know, yeah, I'll jump behind the wheel. So, or stick or whatever the fuck, choke, whatever. I don't know what they're called.
A yoke.
Yoke, not choke, yoke.
That is our list of the best G.I. Joe names according to the 4 experts here. And of course, we're experts. If we got anything wrong, please leave it in the comments below and tell us which ones are wrong and which ones should have been on the list. But for now, that is our list. Look forward to a future video where we get into the 10 worst G.I. Joe names.
Can't believe Skidmark didn't make it.
That was A Real American Brian. And now you know, because knowing is half the Brian.